Welcome to the Clemson Insiders Finest Series, and we got a guy who's been with us before, and you may recognize him here to my left, former Clemson baseball coach Jack Leggett. Coach, first of all, welcome. Appreciate you coming in and talking to us today. We're going to talk some baseball, transfer portal, Clemson baseball. We're going to talk it all, kind of cover the gamut here with Coach. And Coach, so first of all, we know the super regionals are set for the most part. The last game was played today. You've been watching some baseball. Give me your overall thoughts of the baseball season. It's kind of been a weird baseball season coming off COVID, and it was in the middle of some COVID rules too. Right. Your thoughts on it all?
Well, I've been watching it very closely because I've got a lot of friends out there still coaching and a lot of teams that I've been following. And so I think there's going to be 6 SEC teams in there in the super regionals, and I think there's going to be 3 possibly. It depends on Virginia whether they get in ACC schools. And the teams that look like they were a little bit on the edge that could have been in trouble was Arkansas, which I thought was one of the better teams all year long, and they could be in Omaha for sure. I watched Vanderbilt very closely, and I really like the way they play. I like their aggressiveness, the way they run the bases. Their top 2 pitchers are as good as anybody's in the country, and so I think they've got a chance to end up in Omaha. But I've watched some games really closely. I've watched them from a coach's standpoint, and I've seen some, Ole Miss is now back in the fold. I guess they go to Arizona. And so there's some good teams still out there. I think there's going to be some really good teams that make their way to Omaha. And, one of the ACC teams that surprising me from the beginning was Notre Dame. Notre Dame's done a really nice job in their regional, won all their games handily. And so they're pitching, they're swinging the bats, they're running the bases well, they're playing good defense. And so Link Jarrett's got their team going very well. So it's been interesting. I've enjoyed watching.
Of course, Jared, then they got to go to Mississippi State, which we all know too well what that's like, going down to Starkville to play in the Super Regional. Well, that's a tough challenge.
Well, I went there when I was at Western Carolina. We won 5 championships in a row, and in '85, '6, and '7, 3 years in a row, we went to Mississippi State.
Thank you, NCAA Selection Committee.
Well, I was on the committee.
Oh, thank you.
I was on the committee, so I was lucky to be in the tournament, because we had won the championship. And they said, well, who wants to go to Mississippi State? And I said, we'll go back there. It was great fans, great experience. We actually played very well there. We eliminated Mississippi State one time. We beat them 8-1, eliminated them from the tournament. The fans were unbelievable. And so at the end of the game, the fans were still there. We beat them 8-1, eliminated them. Fans were standing ovation. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. They're giving us a standing ovation for beating Mississippi State. Then I realized that they weren't leaving until the players came out of the locker room. So all the players came out, have T-shirts on, waving to the fans and everything. They go, heck, I thought that was for us, but it was for those fans that would not leave until they appreciated what the players had done that year and the year that they had. So I realized it was a very special environment, and they made it even greater with the facility improvements and how they've done their outfield and all that kind of thing. So it's one of the better baseball atmospheres in the country for sure.
Now, you said earlier you watched a lot of baseball, but there's been a lot of changes we've known still going in, and you got a lot of things that are happening this coming year. First of all, the transfer portal. Now, baseball is in line with football and men's basketball, where it's a, 1 year and you can transfer. You don't have to sit out if you come in as a freshman. You don't like things or whatever happens. They can do that. And then next year, of course, the name, image, and likeness issues coming into play. Your thoughts on how the game is changing and how will these 2 new rules affect the game, you think, going forward?
Well, the transfer portal is something very unique because when I was coaching, you had to sit out a year if you went to another school and so forth. But I never really worried about kids transferring. If they're happy with your school, they like your culture, they like how your team's being run, they like the success, you treat them right. There was really never an issue of a kid transferring schools. And so I think if those things are in line, the transfer portal probably shouldn't bother your school, shouldn't hurt your players, because if you're doing a really good job with them and they're learning and they're developing and improving, and they like the culture and they like what the program's all about, and you're winning and whatever, they're going to be happy that they're in the school, in your program. So regardless of the portal, or they couldn't transfer without with sitting out a year, I never really worried about that because I always felt the kids were having a good experience and they were developing it and improving. Their parents were glad they were there and so forth. So that was never an issue. It is a difficult situation now because, you can kind of get caught up in it if you're recruiting and recruiting is not going as good. Now you can kind of rely on the transfer portal and rely on other kids from other schools. But if you do that too often, your program's not going to be where it needs to be. And you got to go out and find the players that fit into your program, fit into your culture, fit into your teaching, style and your program style, and want to be involved in your tradition. And those kids, normally when a kid transfers, it's a 50-50 deal. It's 50% that they're not good enough, not playing enough, attitude, something's wrong, or the other 50% are they just want a different opportunity, a different challenge. So you never know what you're going to get in that situation. So it's a little bit different. It's like the Wild Wild West. We were talking about that, and it makes it difficult, for coaches. But at the same time, it makes it easier in some ways because there's more to choose from. And I personally wouldn't want to live on that. I want to live on the kids that I went out and handpicked myself.
Yeah, and I would imagine it also, loyalty is a big thing, and so that's something I guess, again, it's a different times, but, it seems like the loyalty maybe is not as like it used to be, where I don't know if the why that is, but it doesn't seem like, at least in the instances I've seen with, other sports, that it hasn't been, the loyalty is not like it used to be when a kid comes in. If he doesn't get what he wants immediately, for instance, I was talking to a couple of former Clemson football players and basketball players the other day, and they were both saying, all of them were saying, like, they would never do that because they had a loyalty to Clemson because Clemson took a chance on them. But they see, as a player, as an athlete, they say they don't see that loyalty coming from kids. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that starts at the top too. I think that starts in your program. If your kids feel loyal to you and you've been loyal to them and you have that good relationship back and forth and there's mutual respect and they're getting better and they understand they may not be playing as much as they want, but they're learning, they're getting set up for their time after college, then you're not going to see a lot of the people leaving. If you see them leaving, you got to understand that that's probably, something's probably up. And so I think those are good things that you're hearing from those sports or from those kids, is the fact that they may feel like I could play more somewhere else, but this is the culture I knew I was getting into. They're showing me loyalty. They're developing me. I'm getting better. I'm going to be more prepared when I get out of college. So they'll stay. So I think it's, society now is a little bit like, what can you do for me now? And they want instant gratification. But I think if you've got the right program, you'll see very few kids you're leaving.
Well, we want to ask you a couple things too, because you are a former coach and at Clemson, obviously, legendary coach, and had a great career. And you also coached Team USA, won a gold medal, by the way. Congratulations on that. Want to kind of get your thoughts. This year wasn't a banner year for Clemson baseball, one of the worst they've had in a long, long time. First losing season since '57, didn't make the NCAA tournament. Just your overall thoughts, from watching the season and then, kind of some things that maybe, you could see maybe they can fix or things of that nature, maybe to try to get things turned around.
Well, a little bit of a tough question because...
just analytical.
Analytical. I think the one thing, I think they had a little trouble finding their pitching roles and who their starting pitchers were and then who their best relievers were, and it kind of changed up a little bit, so it was difficult to find some consistency there. I just felt like they put more balls in play, simple as that, and I would say that about any team that struck out a lot. And I think if you put more balls in play, more good things are going to happen. It's just like in basketball or football, the more pressure you put on the defense, the more pressure you put on the other team, the more mistakes they're going to make, which gives you more opportunities to score and have people on base. And so I think, some things there probably could have gone a little bit better for them. And running the bases, I think being aggressive on the bases is another avenue that can help put pressure on the defense and give you more opportunities to score. And so I think, maybe a little bit more work and success in that area as well. But I think it's just, I felt like the things that I saw just analytically is It's just the team has got to play together. Everybody's got to play together in order to be successful in any sport. And that was one of the things where they struggled a little bit. They had a little inconsistent times during the course of the year, and every team goes through those times. Nobody's going to win. Nobody shows up in Omaha 60 and 6. It just doesn't happen. Or there's going to be 18, 19, 15 losses during the course of the season, maybe even on a good year most of the time. But you don't want to have those times where you lose 5 or 6 in a row, 7 in a row, and where it happens 2 or 3 times during the year. So consistency was just one thing that I thought maybe if they'd put together a little bit more consistent times out there, things would have gone better for them.
I know one of the things you said there that I thought was interesting, and this goes for the game of baseball, small ball. It doesn't seem like you've seen this. It's kind of a trend around baseball altogether. Like you just don't see much small ball going in the game anymore. Why is that, you think? Is it something to do with analytics? What is that? Why don't we see it?
I think it's because of a little bit of analytics, and people have gone to that avenue maybe a little bit too much, in my opinion. It still comes down to you got to pitch, you got to throw strikes ahead in the count, you got to play really good defense, you got to put balls in play, can't strike out, you got to play as a team, you got to play consistently every single day. You go out to the field, you got to be able to play your best, and everybody's got to rely on each other, and you got to be able to move runners around. And if that means hitting behind runners, getting bunts down, starting innings off with base hit bunts, whatever it might be, because of all the shift now, there's a lot of avenues on that field that are being left open where you can start innings off. And I'm not sure teams do that enough. The teams that I see being successful are pretty good at small ball. Rely on it, to bunt every time. But when you do bunt, it's not a quantity happening. It doesn't happen a lot during the game, but it's a quality happening. I used to call it, this is a quality time. You either get the bunt down and you move your guy over and he scores, or you don't get the bunt down and you hit into a double play, you strike out, something bad happens. And you either defend the bunt and get the guy out, or you screw that up and you allow an extra base runner on, and the next thing you know, you're in trouble. And so there's a lot that can happen if you play that kind of game and utilize your speed and utilize the strengths and weaknesses of your players. And I see Vanderbilt does that very well. Their leadoff hitter, Enrique Bradfield, played for us in USA Baseball and was in all these USA trials and so forth, and really good player, great kid. He's from Florida, but he is so disruptive, and he leads the nation in stolen bases. He can bunt anytime he needs to, and he puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And a kid like that, and an ability to put balls in play on the ground, utilize your speed, be able to get bunts down, be able to put pressure that way, goes a long way toward manufacturing a lot of runs.
Now, Coach, we also got you here because you have a book that's out, and I want you to. Well, Coach, you didn't bring your book down. We'll try to find that book for you. Yeah. But you do have a book that's out. Yeah. And it kind of talks about a lot of these things and motivation and things of that nature. Can you tell us a little bit about it and what brought that on?
Yeah, it's called ABCs of Excellence. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's a book really based on my experiences as a coach over 40 years and as a teacher, and I think that it's got a lot of great lessons in it. Got some good stories in it. It's simple reading. It's spoken from my heart. It's very simple in that it goes through the alphabet and talks about attitude, adaptability, your ability to handle adversity, going into B for balance and body language and so forth. And it's great for coaches. It's great for athletes at any level, coaches at any level. I think it's good for business people who are trying to run a business, parents, anybody who wants to try to achieve a little better excellence in their life in a lot of ways. And I think it's been well received. It's been fun. It's on Amazon. It's in my on my website, jackleggett.com. I've also done 29 coaching videos that are 10 minutes or less that are helpful, I think, to coaches at any level, college coaches are at any level, and athletes at any level. And they're good messages for business people or anybody else, again, who wants to try to improve and achieve a little bit better success in whatever they're doing. So it's been good. So hopefully some people can get out there and keep it moving, because it's something I'm proud of. It's not easy to do, to write a book. You know as well as I do, it's not easy to do, but it's something that's been on my mind for a long period of time, and I'm glad it's out there, and hopefully it keeps on flourishing a little bit.
How long did you write it? Like after you won the gold medal, or when did you decide I'm gonna sit down and write this?
Wrote it after the gold medal. Wrote it about a year ago, and it came out last November. And during that time, the coaching videos came out as kind of a package deal with both of them. But I did a unique thing. I bought my laptop. I went to Best Buy. I got a program called Dragon, and the Best Buy geeks put it in my computer, and so I could speak to my computer, and it would type it out for me.
Nice.
And I could make some adjustments, but you get to a period and you say period and put your period down, comma, and so forth. And it'll make some spelling errors here and there, but I just went back and corrected everything. But I would do, a couple hours worth of it, and it would print it out for me. I'd go back and make my corrections. But if I hadn't had that, I probably wouldn't have sat down and written it out by hand. So it worked out great. It's a really good program. Something I'll use again and try to do some more with it.
So you're in my world now.
I'm in your world, which is a heck of a challenge.
Well, see, I couldn't use a program like that because of my country accent, and so it will not pick up the right words. Siri on my phone cannot understand me, so I know something like that probably can't understand me. But Coach, man, it's been great having you up here, man. And like I said, people, and you said they can check you out at Amazon, and where else can they get the book at?
At my website, jackleggett.com, and they can go on there. There'll be icons about the book or the course. It's called a course, and you can bundle them together. You can buy them individually, and they're all reasonable. But I think they're enlightening. I think I had fun doing it, and I think there's some good information in there. 40 years of experience in coaching, teaching, mentoring. Yeah, I'm only 45, so I started when I was 5. So, it came out really well, I think, and I'm excited about it. And I wish I had a copy of it down here. I left it upstairs that I could show, but I'm proud of it. And hopefully, if you get a chance to take a look at it, I think you'll find that it's something that'll help you.
Yeah, y'all need to go get that book, check it out. Coach, again, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. For Jack Leggett, I'm Will Vandervoort. We'll see you next time on the Clemson Insider.